Okay, I'll call this regular meeting of council to order. If I can ask everyone to rise for the national anthem. Okay, I'll now ask if there are any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Okay, seeing none, then I will look to the clerk to read the motion to go into closed session.
That council now move into closed session to discuss A, item under section 239, 2F of the Municipal Act 2001, advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, land matter, one item. B, item under section 239, 2D of the Municipal Act 2001, labor relations or employee negotiations, recruitment matter, one item. C, minutes of the closed meeting of council held July 24th, 2018.
Okay, I need a mover and a seconder to move into closed session. Moved by Alderman Gilmore, seconded by Alderman Hessels. All those in favor, and that's carried. So now we'll move into closed session and probably won't be too long. Okay, so we're back in the meeting, and council rises with report and met in closed session and gave direction to our solicitor regarding a planning matter. All right, so we don't have any delegations tonight. We don't have any presentations. We don't have any public hearings, but we do have mayor's remarks really briefly. We do have some exciting news a little bit later on in the council agenda, so I will leave it to Chief Bigrig to give more of a formal introduction later in the meeting, but I would like to extend a warm welcome to our new chief, Morgan Alcock. And congratulations to all of the candidates who were certified for the upcoming election. And we want to remind residents to remember to check online at voterlookup.ca, and I believe that's probably on our website, to ensure that you're eligible to vote on October 22nd, and we will be doing vote by mail again this year. The Wainfleet Farmers Market was launched on August 8th and will run each Wednesday morning through September 19th. So we'd like to thank Kat and Richard from Meridian who spearheaded this, and the township will continue to offer overflow parking. And this Friday, August 17th, will be the final day for the Fantastic Drop-In Playtime program. I will be attending the AMO conference from August 19th to the 22nd, and we have secured a delegation with the Minister of Agriculture, Food, and Rural Affairs, so we'll be reporting back on that when I return. And staff will be hosting a public meeting to discuss parking issues in the Quarry Road and Lakeshore area on Tuesday, August 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. here in council chambers. And our next regular meeting of council will be Tuesday, September 4th. So that's it for my mayor's remarks, and now I'll look to the clerk for the adoption of the minutes.
That the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on July 24th, 2018 be adopted as circulated.
So I need a mover and a seconder for the minutes. Moved by Alderman Gilmore, seconded by Alderman Hassels. Any errors or omission or discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, and that's carried. So now we'll move on to our staff reports.
That bylaw enforcement staff report BESR-021-2018, monthly statistical report July 2018, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Mover and a seconder. Moved by Alderman Conk, seconded by Alderman Gilmore. Any questions or discussion on this report? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, that's carried.
That bylaw enforcement staff report BESR-022-2018, fences on lakefront properties, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Mover and a seconder for this report. Moved by Alderman Gilmore, seconded by Alderman Conk. Mark, did you want to speak to this? I know that it's to be received for information and then for nothing to be undertaken at this time, so I don't know if anybody had any questions. Alderman Conk.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Mark, on page 8 of the report, at the very bottom of the paragraph, you've got due to the number of existing dwellings that are located within that area, and you're talking about the dynamic beach hazard. Can you explain that a little bit more fuller? Because I'm not getting that. I'm sorry.
Through you, Madam Mayor. That's more of a planning issue, but I can try because I did have conversations with Sarah about it. So the dynamic beach hazard area is a study that MPCA has done that over 100 years erosion might take place, and that's where they figure in 100 years that's where the shoreline will start, is that far back. Through mapping, most of the cottages in that area are actually in that floodplain area. And that's only estimate. That could change. It's all weather dependent, and it's hard to calculate what 100 years can bring, but that's just what those engineers have estimated. I hope that answers.
So are you saying that the fences shouldn't be there because there could be an uprush through that dynamic beach hazard, and the fences will be destroyed, and there'll be other things that are happening. Is that what you're alluding to?
Through you, Madam Mayor, no. That's not what I'm alluding to at all. We're just stating that the houses are there, the houses are going to be fine. If a fence is put up, a fence will be fine.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Alderman Hessels.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with this report. I think everybody is entitled to their privacy and fences if for trespassing and those things. But I don't know if it could be a recommendation or a thought for council to consider is if we go with the, what is it? It's, let me see, 1.8 is it, or meters? Yeah, I think it's 1.8 meters, that's the 6-foot height. If we could say that goes 10 meters past the end of their house boundary or their house blueprint, and then if we could drop it down 4 feet after that, like the 1.2 meters after that, I think, because I believe everybody should have their privacy. If it was dropped down to the 4 feet after that, then it kind of still gives people a pretty clear view. Maybe some places not, but on general, it would still give people a pretty clear view. I don't know if that would be acceptable or how we would even go about that.
I would imagine we'd need to make an amendment to the report. I don't know if our bylaw officer has any comment on that. I know exactly what you're talking about because I see that out where I live. A lot of people have done that exact same thing. I don't know if that's okay to make that amendment tonight. If there's any further review that needs to be done, I know we, again, with making motions on the fly, although it seems like it's pretty simple, so I'll let someone answer instead of.
Through you, Madam Mayor, if council wishes to do that, they can. However, the current fence bylaw is in line with every other municipality's fence bylaw. So we're not out of the ordinary there. The only major difference is currently we have the lowest fences in the region. At 6 feet, where everyone else is between 6.5 up to 8 feet. So we are already the lowest fence bylaw regulations in the region. However, if council does wish to make that, it can be easily done.
Do you wish to
Well,
continue?
I don't know if we should just do that or if we should get public input and see if people in general are in favor with that. Just to make that, and if you make an amendment, you're basically making it a bylaw next time, right? So I don't know, I'd kind of like to get more of a public opinion on that, but that was one thing I thought might help some of the issues that for viewing. So I think it still would, with the 10 meters, I think it would still give them plenty of privacy, and then I don't want to take the fence away from anybody because otherwise, yeah, people can just trespass over your property and that. So I thought that might be a little bit of a compromise. But again, I'd like the general public's input on that.
So you're suggesting now then to recommend to staff that we have a public meeting and then we can go back and we can review what you're talking about and the bylaw, the total bylaw, but then we can talk about your suggestion?
And that would be good, and if they come up with other options too, if, you know, I don't have a problem with that, but just to give everybody a chance to say what.
Okay. So the motion would be then to receive the report as it is, and then to direct staff to have a public meeting regarding the fence bylaw.
Okay, if that's what we need for a motion, I'm good
Okay,
with that.
so you're moving that. Is there a seconder for that? Alderman Gilmore. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor, and that's carried. Okay, perfect. So that is done. So now we're on to fire staff reports.
That Fire Staff Report FSR-004-2018, First Half Report 2018, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Mover and a seconder for this report. Moved by Alderman Gilmore, seconded by Alderman Hassels. And I think I'm going to look to the chief. Were you going to do a little, little dissertation, I guess you would say?
Yeah, just a bit of an overview. Where you sit as a fire department and a municipality that operates a fire department today, some of the reports that you've received either by memo or by presentation, we've talked about taking on the 11 additional volunteer firefighters. That's going to have an impact on the stats that you see later on in the report in terms of total number or average volunteer firefighters responding, and hopefully it starts to drop your average response time down as well. Unfortunately, we had 2 members resign. Between the 2 of them, they had more than 50 years of experience and dedication to the community. And those were personal choices based on the demands that they have as families in terms of their lifestyle and in terms of supporting their families. More than 50 years between 2 people. We lost a lot of experience and a lot of common sense, quite frankly, when they made the decision to leave the department. We were fortunate to hire a deputy chief, and the deputy chief is fully invested in fire prevention, public education, and operations. In terms of emergency response, there were 86 calls in the first half of the year. The average response time is right on the top of the pin, right where we would expect a volunteer department in a rural setting to be in Ontario, right at 10 minutes. There are about 8 volunteer firefighters on average responding. I would like to see more. I'm certain that the new chief will endeavor to ensure that that number comes up as time goes on. And most of our responses are split between medical, motor vehicle accidents, and fires. Our best turnout time is between 4 o'clock in the afternoon and midnight. That's in terms of response time, number of people responding, and shortest response time. We've carried on with the purchasing process. The new fire chief and I have met to determine what future priorities may be. I've done my best to meet the short-term priorities, and I know that Chief Alcock will be working to meet more long-term priorities. I would draw your attention to the amount of time that firefighters have spent training in the first half of the year. 1,723 hours. I spoke in my last presentation about training, certification, and professionalization of the fire service. Your department is well on the way. I'm very proud and very pleased with the work that your whole team has done. We've received a good number of firefighter certification notices for different levels of programming, some grandfathering documents from the Office of the Fire Marshal, and we were actually able, through Deputy Chief Schuten's efforts, able to push the Office of the Fire Marshal to come up with the 20 certificates for the Introduction to IMS course that was held last year. I'm most proud of the fact that nobody has come to any of you to complain about the delivery of fire protection while I've been here. All right. I'm very proud of the fact that there have been no direction from the Office of the Fire Marshal and Emergency Management. And I'm very pleased to report that there have been no health and safety issues. So that would sum up my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that. Were there any questions from council members? Alderman Conk.
Through you, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to thank Chief Big Rig for being here. The short time that you have been here, it's been a pleasure working with you. But I do have one question. On page 2, under the inspection program, you talk about approximately 15 inspections conducted to date. Is that like in line with a rural municipality and a volunteer? Should we be looking for more? Is that average?
You have more than met the needs of the legislation.
Okay.
But what I will say is that we have a number of facilities in this municipality that have fire safety plans, from schools to churches to group homes. And we were working on a timetable this afternoon to ensure that they are inspected. The rest of the inspections that we've been conducting have either been by request, by complaint, or in fact, one case was a request for a liquor license. So we've met the legislative requirements. I'm about targeting high-risk occupancies myself. I'm more concerned about smoke alarm compliance in people's homes, to be quite frank with you. And I know that Chief Alcock and a number of volunteer firefighters have an initiative that will roll out, I expect, late this month or early September to get back into the houses. We've worked on the basis of voluntary compliance with respect to smoke alarms for far too long in this province. We've got over 65 people dead, and we're just midway through June right now. So at some point, the new fire chief is going to have a discussion about enforcement rather than voluntary compliance. And it's an issue that every fire department, especially the volunteer fire services in this province, are dealing with right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Alderman Hassels?
Yeah, well, thanks for the report also. Just on the two resignations, I know in the past, anybody that's put in that amount of years, they would have been recognized or acknowledged, and I think we even gave them a gift. So I'm not sure, is anything like that coming up for these two gentlemen?
Yes, we have a function in the planning stage right now, and how that rolls out is where I would be very disappointed. As a matter of fact, I'd be grossly disappointed if they weren't recognized for their service to the community. Like over the years, they've seen a lot, they've done a lot, and they've committed a lot to this community. I don't want that to go unsaid before I leave.
Okay, any further questions from council members? All right, I'll turn it back over to you, Chief.
Can you hear me without a microphone?
I don't know if Brandon can in the back. So can you go to the podium maybe?
All right, can you hear me at the back okay now? All right. Morgan, would you come up here, please? It's my pleasure to introduce the new fire chief for the Township of Wainfleet, Morgan Alcock. Morgan comes from a broad background in the fire service. He's viewed as dynamic, forward-thinking, progressive, and safe. Safe for his firefighters and safe for this community. So it's my pleasure to turn over the chain of command to your next fire chief, Morgan Alcock.
If I may, say a few words. I want to say thank you to the council, the hiring committee, for entrusting me with ensuring community safety through fire service. I'm really looking forward to working with the firefighters, the council, the staff, to serve this community as best as we can. And I want to make it clear that my office is open, both to the firefighters, to the staff, but also to the community members. At the end of the day, the fire service is yours, and you need to feel like you can come to us and feel safe, and that's our priorities. So thanks again, and by all means, please come see me. Thank you.
And I just, Will just wanted to make a couple comments before we move on in the agenda.
And just a point of clarification and information for any of the members of the public or the community that might be interested. Council has been working diligently towards the recruitment of a new fire chief, a new full-time fire chief for the community since we had interim Chief Big Rig join us several months ago. We're very pleased and excited to have Morgan join us, and we're looking forward to working with him in the months and years to come. A bit of clarification regarding the Municipal Elections Act. I just want to make it clear that council at this time is actually in a lame duck position because of a specific calculation that was undertaken following the close of nominations on July 27th, nomination day. That said, a lot of effort prior to nomination day was put in by this council, and under authorities that were granted to staff and delegation that was granted to staff prior to council becoming lame duck, as well as authorities that rest with the CAO regarding staffing and administration of the affairs of the municipality under the Municipal Act of Ontario. I actually have the authority to do hirings such as this, and actually it was, just for the record, it was myself that actually formally hired Mr. Alcock, and I'm very pleased to be able to say that, and I welcome him very much. The appointment process that will be occurring later by the passing of a bylaw by council is a technicality, not really tied to the hiring, but I just wanted to make sure that it was clear to the community that the hiring process was done at the administrative staff level, and council's role in this is to do the formal appointment as chief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So now we'll move on to the Public Works staff reports.
The Public Works Staff Report, PWSR-012-2018, Library Skylight Replacement, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
So I need a mover and a seconder, moved by Alderman Gilmore, seconded by Alderman Conk. Any questions or discussion on the skylight? Alderman Hassels.
Yeah. Just going to the report, like there's two prices there. One, you're using a premium panel or whatever. So I'm just wondering, is the whole roof going to be replaced, or is it just the one section? Because if you're putting real high quality paneling on one part of the roof and the rest is still old, I'm wondering if it's worthwhile going with the higher quote that was here.
Through your worship, to Alderman Hessels, the skylight portion itself is actually a raised portion of roof. So there's actually flashing. The rest of the 3-in-1 shingles that are there are actually fairly recent. But the skylight itself was all glass with a 6-inch riser with flashing on it. We're basically going to be replacing everything from the 6-inch riser up. So the existing roof is going to stay, and we're going to put new flashing, and then it's going to be the new metal roofing on top.
I guess my point is, when you have the old roofing, that's probably going to have to be replaced at some time. You might want to replace everything at once so it all looks the same, if I'm correct at that.
Well, that's quite possible. I just did want to replace the whole roof because it's only been on there for about 4 years. So I was going to keep the existing roofing that's there. We're going to remove the glass panels off the skylight, and then we're actually going to build on top of it, just up to where that flashing portion is. So the flashing and everything will be replaced from that portion upwards. And the existing roofing, we're going to try and match the metal so it actually offsets some of the look of that building. And then the existing roofing can stay because it's in perfectly good shape.
I guess what I'm talking about roof is the flashing, or the other panels on the roof, if, like you say, they're a few years old. I think the biggest difference is like the construction is a little bit different, but it seems like the steel you're going to be putting on top is, one's a premium quality and the other one's probably, it's 26 gauge, so that's still a commercial grade steel. So I'm not sure the extra $7,000 if it's worth doing that, because it'll probably be a different look.
Sorry, part of that as well, maybe I didn't quite explain it well enough in the report, but part of the difference in the panels is right now, just by going in with the Z-girts and putting metal right on top of it, the premium is putting plywood as well. So you're putting plywood, weatherproofing, and then the metal on top. So that way you get a little bit more sound barrier. So if we get hail or rain, it doesn't actually will not travel as much into the library. Whereas with just the Z-bar and the metal roofing, it could have a potential of transferring some of that noise into the library.
Okay, so any other questions for Richard on the skylight? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Okay, and that's carried. So now we'll go on to our last Public Works report.
The Public Works Staff Report, PWSR-013-2018, Refire Station Number 3, Burnaby Replacement, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Mover and a seconder to get this on the floor. Moved by Alderman Conk, seconded by Alderman Gilmore. I don't know if we want Richard to talk about this or if we just want to go right into questions. So I think I'll look to council. Any questions or comments on this? I know that Richard, would you like to go ahead?
Through your worship, to all members of council. Yeah, so the unfortunate part is we did receive 2 bids, and only 2 bids when we put the RFP out. We did significant work trying to reduce the scope of the work on this building in hopes of getting lower pricing as well as attracting other bidders. The market right now is not very good, and it showed in some of our bid quality as well as our numbers that we got. There are several options available. The unfortunate part is because of the situation council's in, some of those options are limited. So there's basically, we're looking for some direction to where council would think they would want to go. Whether we negotiate, because we do have an option under the CCDCs that we can negotiate with the contractor. My unfortunate thinking is it's going to be pretty tough to shave $1 million off the bid. So that's one route we can go, or council can just, give staff more time and refer to the new council.
Would you like to, Will would like to add to that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, and in support of Mr. Nan's suggestion, we now have a new, or we will now have a new full-time fire chief on duty as well, which I think from a staff perspective, some feedback and input from that, in that direction, and perhaps with the election upcoming, a deferral might be in order at this time, just to provide us an opportunity to do some more looking, to do some more research, to do some more discussions with our new fire chief, and the opportunity perhaps for the new council as well to be able to weigh in on the direction to move in this regard.
Alderman Gilmore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would concur with CAO's comments and move that we defer this decision to the new term.
Okay, seconder for that, Alderman Hassels. And just, there's no discussion on a deferral, but time-wise, is it sufficient enough to just say new term, or would you like a specific time?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would suggest first quarter of 2019
Okay.
would be reasonable. That's what we will come back with, even if you just leave it as deferral. That will give us time to get some ducks lined up.
Okay. Some lame ducks. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so now we are going on to correspondence. So there's 3 items that have been highlighted. So the first one is from the town of Pelham, and I think they're looking for our support regarding odor with cannabis, and we know a lot of municipalities are having issues with that. And that will be part of our delegation to, when I'm in AMO, that'll be part of what we want to talk about, is how municipalities, including ours, are seeing more greenhouses becoming these kind of operations. So having said that, then I'll look to council. I don't know if anyone wants to make a motion then to support or receive. Alderman Hassels to
I would make a motion that we endorse that.
to support. Okay. Okay, so seconder for that, Alderman Gilmore, and then I will call the question. All those in favor, and that's carried. Okay, and then we have the second item, and I think, Will, did you want to speak to that and give us an update?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the item of correspondence in question is a cover letter and report from the Township's Integrity Commissioner. In accordance with Council's Code of Conduct and the requirements of the Municipal Act, this is on the agenda this evening, on the public portion of the agenda for the information of Council. I do note that the report included from the Integrity Commissioner does include a recommendation that Council consider requesting the Alderman to issue an apology regarding the matter, and I can confirm at this time, after having spoken with both the Alderman and the complainant, that that has already taken place. At this time, therefore, the report in the correspondence speaks for itself, and really from an operational perspective, Council needs only receive the report as information to meet its requirements under the legislation.
Okay, so we just need a motion to receive then. Okay, so moved by Alderman Gilmore, seconded by Alderman Hessels. All those in favor, and that's carried. Okay, so now we'll move on to the last piece of correspondence, and I think this was highlighted because it's good news. So Adam, did you want to, I know you're pretty excited about this. Doesn't take much to make Adam happy.
Yeah, that's the accountant in me. Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to all of council. So if you recall, back in December 2017, I brought a staff report indicating that we were going to apply to receive funding to assist with our asset management plan and hiring our consultant, the PhD student out of Waterloo, to help assist us in bringing our asset management plan into kind of the new requirements that are coming down through legislation in 2019. And so with that, I'm happy to announce that we received the full amount of the funding, the maximum that we were eligible to receive, which is $50,000. And I can also inform you that our consultant is working very hard to work through all our data. It's not probably the most enjoyable task to do right now since it's coming from various sources, but Richard and I have had the opportunity to speak with him on several occasions just to see how things are going, and he provided me with some more information yesterday. So we're moving along the process. The plan is to have it done by end of February next year, and then that'll be perfectly aligned with the requirements under the legislation to have our policy in place by July 1st, 2019.
Okay, so we just wanted to highlight this so we don't have to make a recommendation with it. So good job, Adam. In the accounting world, it's big news, so good stuff. So any questions about that? All right, seeing none, are there any other items for correspondence anybody wanted to mention? Okay, so we'll go into the bylaws.
That the following bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 14th day of August 2018. A. Bylaw number 041-2018, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 014-2016, being a bylaw to control and regulate dogs. B. Bylaw number 042-2018, being a bylaw to regulate noise in the Township of Wainfleet. C. Bylaw number 043-2018, being a bylaw to establish and regulate the Township of Wainfleet Fire Department. D. Bylaw number 044-2018, being a bylaw to repeal and replace bylaw number 014-2018, being a bylaw to appoint a fire chief for the Township of Wainfleet.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder for the bylaws. Moved by Alderman Hessel, seconded by Alderman Gilmore. Any question or discussion on the bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. All right, so are there any notices of motion tonight? Nope. No proclamations. Any other business? No. Wow. Can somebody note that there's no? Okay. So then I'll look to the clerk for the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
That bylaw number 045-2018, being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the actions of council at this regular meeting held on the 14th day of August, be read and passed this 14th day of August, 2018.
Mover and a seconder, Alderman Hessels, Alderman Conk, all those in favor, that's carried. And then I need a motion to adjourn. Alderman Hessels, Alderman Gilmore, all those in favor, and that's carried.